Hey there, fight fans. Welcome back to another episode of the Ranch Boxing Podcast. I'm your host, Fernando Robles. So, after not having very much to talk about in the boxing world, they hit us with a bunch of cards this weekend with a bunch of notable fights and a bunch of notable fighters. So, let's start with the most popular one from Madison Square Garden, live on DAZN Premium or DAZN Pay-Per-View. We have Ring 6. Teofimo Lopez puts up his WBO Junior Welterweight Championship against Shakur Stevenson, who's coming up from lightweight as a champion. Also in action, super lightweight or junior welterweight Keyshawn Davis takes on Jermaine Ortiz. WBC middleweight champion Carlos Adames taking on Austin Williams. Bruce Shushu Carrington takes on Carlos Castro for the vacant WBC featherweight championship. And in heavyweight action, Jarrell Big Baby Miller taking on Kingsley eBay. So let's get right into it. The main event, Teofimo Lopez versus Shakur Stevenson. Teofimo Lopez brings in a record of 22 wins, 1 loss, and Shakur Stevenson has 24 wins, no losses, completely undefeated. So this is a super interesting match, and odds makers and experts all agree right now. They have Shakur Stevenson a minus 375 favorite, while Teofimo Lopez is a plus 250 underdog. So it's not when Teofimo is the underdog is the problem. It's when he's a favorite. That's when he always has questions on who's going to show up. He's had questions in his career about kind of underperforming or against lesser known opponents. Shakur Stevenson doesn't have that problem. He seems to be the same every time he comes out. Full of ability, full of speed. I don't think anybody has gotten close to even giving this guy problems. His last fight against William Zepeda was supposed to present some sort of challenge for him, which I think it did. I think there was a few things introduced in that fight that might resonate in this fight. But I have to agree that Shakur Stevenson probably does have more ways to win this fight than Teofimo Lopez. But I can't ever count Teofimo Lopez out in big name fights, in big events. So both of these guys have quickness and speed. I would say the quickness and speed advantage goes to Shakur Stevenson, but we'll see how he handles those extra 5 pounds at 140 pounds. And I would say that the power advantage might go to Teofimo Lopez, but then again, who knows? I think Shakur's grown into himself, into his size and his strength, and that might not be accurate in this. It's going to be interesting to see how they train for this and the game plan they bring. Now, both of these guys are counter punchers. So who's going to initiate the fight? Who's going to bring the fight to the other? Will it be none of them? And they're just going to sit there and stare at each other and wait and wait for the other to do something. And, that could lead to a really boring affair. So I'm wondering how they game plan this. Someone has got to do something to get this fight going, because you can't counterpunch with another counterpuncher. That's always a recipe for disaster. So what's going to happen? I'm not sure. I think Teofimo has no choice but to initiate more of the contact here, because he's not going to be able to get away from Shakur Stevenson. As he's just not going to be able to do that. And if he waits for Shakur to come to him, it's going to be boring. I just think he's going to take the initiative and go towards Shakur. That's why I think Shakur probably has a better chance of winning. I just don't see Shakur coming at Teofimo Lopez. I do give the advantage to Shakur. I think he has he's a little bit better boxer. He's a little bit faster. But I think Teofimo has a way of shining in these moments. And I did see Shakur take some hits against William Zepeda. Now, that could have been because he wasn't afraid of Zepeda's power. I don't think Teofimo is. I don't think he's going to play fast and loose with Teofimo's ability and power. So we'll see how this one goes. I think I'm going to give the advantage to Shakur, but I'm going to pick Teofimo Lopez in this fight, only because the way he comes through in these big events, and I have seen Shakur get hit here. He gets hit here and there. I think if Teofimo is aggressive, he can eke out some rounds. He can win some rounds here and there, and then I think he'll be able to get away with a majority decision or a split decision. But it's going to take Teofimo to be aggressive. If he is not aggressive, he is going to lose probably a unanimous decision in one of the most boring fights and one of the most underwhelming events of the year, probably. So I hate to say it, but Teofimo, as a champion, he's going to have to come to Shakur. I just don't think Shakur is going to come to him. But if he does, it is very possible Shakur could do exactly what I'm saying Teofimo is going to do. We just don't. It's that close right now. There's a lot of questions in this bout, a lot of questions in this matchup. I went back and forth the whole time. I've ever since I've seen Shakur, I thought he was brilliant. I think his talent is unmatched. But even so, I think when it comes to big events, Teofimo, who's no slouch. It's not that he's not. I don't want to say he's less talented than Shakur. He might be. And Teofimo has wins over Vasily Lomachenko and Josh Taylor, which are big wins. Those are big names. Those are tough fighters. So he has a great resume, and he's showing up every time. So we'll see how they handle this. Moving on to the undercard, Keyshawn Davis, former Olympian, taking on Jermaine Ortiz. Now, Jermaine Ortiz is no slouch here. Jermaine Ortiz has 20 wins, 2 losses, and 1 draw, and Keyshawn Davis 13 wins, no losses, completely undefeated. But Jermaine Ortiz only has 2 losses to Vasily Lomachenko and Teofimo Lopez, so he doesn't lose against just anyone. So this is going to be a good match for Keyshawn Davis. We'll see where he's at. I think Keyshawn Davis is a great talent, and it'll be an interesting bout here. Carlos Adames versus Austin Williams. If I had to pick an upset in this one, this would be the one. And Carlos Adames as a champion, he is the favorite at a minus 460 favorite, and Austin Williams is a plus 320 underdog. I think it's going to be a little bit closer than the odds say. Like I said, if I had to pick an upset on this card, it's going to be Williams beating Adames. But Adames should be able to beat Williams in this one, but I'm not completely sold on that one. Next, Bruce Shushu Carrington and Carlos Castro fighting for the vacant WBC Featherweight Championship. Bruce Carrington, 16 wins, no losses, undefeated. Carlos Castro, 30 wins, 30 losses, has double the fights. But Shushu Carrington is the talent here, and he is a minus 1,000 favorite, and Carlos Castro is a plus 510 underdog. So the biggest favorite of the card, Bruce Shushu Carrington. I don't see it going any other way. Shushu is going to do what he does best, and he's going to get that vacant title. Heavyweight action here, Jarrell Miller versus Kingsley eBay. I don't really know too much about eBay. eBay is 16-2-1, 16 wins, 2 losses, 1 draw against Jarrell Miller. 26 wins, 1 loss, 2 draws. That one loss to Jarrell Miller happened in 2023. To Daniel Dubois. Kingsley eBay, any notable fighters on his resume? I don't see a whole lot here. So yeah, and his last fight was last September in 2025 against Gerald Washington. So I think Jarrell Miller is going to be able to walk away with a victory in this one. All right, so let's move on to another card on Saturday, January 31st. A guy that I've been wanting to see, and I haven't been really able to see him. Bakhram Murtazaliev, 23 wins, no losses against Josh Kelly, 17 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw. And this is for Murtazaliev's IBF Super Welterweight Champion, 154. Murtazaliev hasn't fought, and I don't know if this is his fault. He hasn't fought since 2024 when he won that IBF championship against Tim Tszyu. So he hasn't fought since October of 2024, and here he goes fighting in January of 2026. That's a long layoff. I just don't think it's going to make a difference, though, against Josh Kelly, who also has some activity issues. He fought once in 2025, once in 2024, so not a whole lot of action. And I don't see a lot of notable fighters on his resume, except for David Avanasian. He lost in 2021. So although this doesn't look like a pick 'em fight or anything like that, you might want to see Bakhram Murtazaliev fight. You want to see what he brings to the table and get a good look at him, because who knows when he's going to fight again, because not a lot of people are calling his name. All right, 154. So I'm sure he's looking for a lot of challengers there, but we'll get to see what he brings to the table against Josh Kelly, especially after a long layoff. That card is from England, so he's going across the pond just to get a fight. This fight is going to be on DAZN as well. So if you have DAZN, or if you get a chance to get a look-see at Murtazaliev. Moving on here, there's another card from Puerto Rico. Xander Zayes. This is a top-ranked card, but it's going to be shown on Tubi or Roku channel. Xander Zayes, 22 wins, no losses, and he's taking on Abbas Baru. Not exactly, a pick 'em fight either, but this is for the WBO Super Welterweight Championship. So Xander Zayes, he hasn't fought since July of 2025, where he fought Jorge Garcia Perez. Abbas Baru hasn't fought since August of 2025, so at least they're somewhat active here. Not a lot of names on his resume either, but if you want to get a look at Xander Zayes, who is a big name, a guy to watch. We'll see how he handles this. He should get the win. It shouldn't be hard for him. Fighting in Puerto Rico, though, that's his hometown. Sometimes when you fight in your hometown, things go bad sometimes. But anyways, that's Xander Zayes. He gets a fight this weekend as well. Make sure you know that you can stream it on Tubi or Roku. Either one. I'm not sure if it's both, but that's where Top Rank is bringing this fight. Also, this weekend we have the Zuffa 2 card. Jose Valenzuela taking on Diego Nunez, and Sergey Boacek in action against Radzhav Budayev, and Alexander Gvozdzik fighting another guy. I can't say the name. It's Kalduzik. I don't know. But Alexander Gvozdzik fighting on this card. So this is the second Zuffa card. This Zuffa 2 card is going to be on February 1st on Sunday from Las Vegas. I wanted to talk about the first Zuffa card. It was Callum Walsh versus Carlos Ocampo. And it was Zuffa's boxing first card. Everybody was anxious to see how this is. It was on Paramount Plus. I got to watch that entire card, and it was a lengthy card. It was their first card, so I'm not gonna really, say too much about it. But what I thought was going to happen, I was hoping the boxer would take a little more chances and be a little bit more aggressive, and it really didn't do that. Fight bonuses be damned. They just would. It seemed like it was the same old thing. Not that that's bad. I like seeing more boxers fight. I like seeing that. I'm all about it. I'm happy about it. But I didn't see anything special, anything more on that card. But I'm always happy to see more fighters fight. As far as Callum Walsh and Ocampo, Callum Walsh is a boot chipper here. He was just underwhelming in this fight. He did the same thing he did against Vargas. I thought Vargas brought that fight. I think he was the only one that made it exciting. And Callum Walsh just seems like he's bland. All right. He's very much like the Zuffa boxing uniform, just bland, or the Zuffa boxing ring mat, just super beige, bland. And it wasn't exciting. Now, that's on Callum Walsh. But as far as the Zuffa card goes, they may want to look at being a little bit more, I don't know, having a little bit more pizzazz. Everything did seem a little sterile in that ring. The crowd was somewhat quiet. I swear it seemed like it was Tokyo, Japan back in the day. It was just I don't know. I don't want to. I don't want to judge them on that card only. I know they're good. You know, it's trial and error. This stuff takes time. It's going to take years. But I was excited about the card. I wanted to see how Zuffa makes things just a little bit different. How they influence these matches to make them more exciting. I mean, it wasn't like super boring. It just wasn't. It didn't stand out. Nothing was huge. I wasn't I didn't see any of the fighters on that card and say I want to see so and so again. I saw the fights, they were decent and that was it. It didn't have me yelling, you know, oh this is a banger card or anything like that. Nothing like that. So hopefully they figure things out a little bit more. We'll see what they come, but you know, if nothing else, more fighters fight, they get a stage to show their skills. So I'm happy about that. So once again, let's go over these cards. The Zuffa card is on Sunday, and that's going to be on Paramount Plus. Jose Valenzuela versus Diego Torres Nunez, and then Xander Zayes on Tubi or Roku channel. That is from San Juan, Puerto Rico. And then the Bakhram Murtazaliev card versus Josh Kelly from Newcastle Arena, Newcastle in the United Kingdom. That's on Saturday, January 31st. I'm pretty sure that's around 10 o'clock in the morning, and that's going to be on DAZN. And then main card, Teofimo Lopez versus Shakur Stevenson, also on DAZN pay-per-view, DAZN Premium. And that's on Saturday, January 31st. So check those out. Get a look-see of some of these fighters. Keyshawn Davis, he seems ready to go. Super lightweight. I don't know if he'll ever fight Shakur because they're so close or close friends and stuff like that, but we'll see what happens with that. He's a great fighter. He's someone to look at. And then we'll see Carlos Adames and Austin Williams. I think that's gonna be a decent fight. I wanted to edge towards Williams, but I'm not sure about that. But and then Bruce Choo Carrington, he's someone to keep an eye on. You're gonna want to see this. Unfortunately, nothing here except for the main card, Lopez versus Stevenson. It should be the favorites winning, and it's another lopsided card of favorites, overwhelming favorites against underdogs. Although these underdogs aren't terrible, I think it's a decent card. I think some of these fights are going to be pretty exciting. Not only that, I think a lot of answers to questions with Teofimo Lopez and Shakur Stevenson. We'll see if Shakur can pull it off. I think it's a great test for him. If Teofimo can actually pull off a victory, he'll have victories against Josh Taylor, Vasyl Lomachenko, and Shakur Stevenson. And I can't say that anybody have names on their resume such as those three. Those are huge names. And not only that, it depends on how he wins. If you could imagine someone getting a knockout on this, that would be something out of HBO boxing back in the day. But I'm super excited about this card, and DAZN got me. You know, as much as they charge and all their talk about no pay-per-view's dead, and then they come back and start charging you for everything. I'm happy with this card. I think it's decent. Plus the Murtazaliev fight. I want to see that guy because I hear he's just the scary guy out there that nobody even wants to talk about. So we'll see what happens with that. I will. I'll shoot another video when we'll get into UFC. So there's UFC and boxing all this weekend. It's a whole weekend of fights for you guys. So check it out. All right. We'll see you at the fight.